Hey everybody, this is a boat. This is my boat. If you want to get yourself a boat as cool as mine, then maybe you need to start playing Minecraft a little bit smoother. The add-on that we're revealing today is the Smooth Craft add-on by Volcano. It's currently rated 4 stars out of 5 stars from 8 reviews, and it currently costs 1,170 mine tokens, which is the equivalent of £5.79 in my local currency. It says, looking for a smoother crafting experience? This is the utility add-on for you. Features animated tree destruction, elevator blocks, item magnets that attract loot with ease, never lose your gear with gravestones, auto build the beacon pyramid like a pro, easy harvesting, dynamic lights, can be used in any world and configured to your liking by Volcano. Let's get this add-on revealed. Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, the Dazman, and today we are in a brand new creative world for the Smooth Craft add-on by Volcano. If you enjoyed today's add-on reveal, please do leave a like, drop a comment down below, let me know what you're thinking about this add-on. Would you use it? How would you use it? And if you've got any clarifications, do correct me down in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button as well. Let's start these add-on reveals how we always start, by having a look at the guidebook. And that boat has nothing to do with this. And so let's get the guidebook ready then. Now just bear in mind as well, this add-on is less than half a megabyte in size. And when you open the guidebook, it comes up as a menu and it says Smooth Craft. Here's everything you need to know about Smooth Craft. And we get a ton of different features. I say ton. We get a handful of different features that are introduced into this quote-unquote utility add-on. We've got the tree cutter, the elevator blocks, gravestones, item magnet, beacon auto build, easy harvest, and dynamic lights. That's all this add-on is bringing us today. And if you click in, you get a brief description and you get an independent settings option where you can either enable and disable it, or you can fiddle around with some of the more finer details. We're going to look at this a little bit later in the experience, so we don't actually have to spend too much time here on the book, but we will look at each one of these coming up. So before we do that then, let's have a look at what new items are added to this add-on. And so in terms of items then, there are only 3. So we have a gravestone key, we have an enhanced gravestone key, and we have an item magnet. And we'll find out more about these, but I can tell you a brief overview. So the gravestone key, when you die, a gravestone is placed at the spot that you die, and you're given a gravestone key to unlock it, and that stops your stuff from despawning. You can also enhance the gravestone key through a little mini ritual, and this will allow you to teleport to the block that you died at. And then you have the item magnet, which can pull items in from a set number of blocks away, which is customizable. But like I say, during the experience section, we will have a look at that. But only 3 items added, so it's not a ton. Let's have a look at what blocks are added in. And so continuing on the trend of flying through these sections then, for the blocks in the Smooth Craft add-on, there are 17 new blocks, 16 of which are elevator blocks that we will look at the functionality and crafting of in the experience section. But you can see there is an elevator block for every color in Minecraft, and you do need 2 of them to use them, and they can be 2 of any color. They don't have to be matching colors as far as I'm aware. Then you've got the gravestone block. So this appears every time you die. Now, if you die from full damage, it will land at the bottom. If you die in a lava pond, it will be at the bottom of the lava pond. And you can interact with this with the gravestone key to get your stuff back. And you can use the enhanced gravestone key to teleport to this location and get your stuff back. If we go into survival mode, you'll see I can't interact with this at all because I don't have a key, but I can break it by punching the skull and it will break. Now, I don't know if that will drop anything. It drops the gravestone here in survival, but I don't know if it gives us our stuff. We'll check that in the experience section. But for 1170 mine tokens, we're not getting a ton of items and blocks. There aren't a ton of utilities. So let's see what it's like to actually use it in the experience section and see if it's worth the money. So then for this experience section, we're going to be going back to the book so that I can show off each section one by one. We're going to start with the tree cutter, and it says chop an entire tree with one hit. Use a diamond axe and watch the forest go down. Now the description implies that you can only use a diamond axe, but if we go into the settings, we can enable or disable it. We can turn on animated falling or not, so it could become Tree Capitator or Tree Cutter. And you can also turn on whether or not you need to use a diamond axe, or you can use any axe. So I've got it set to off because I want to test if it works with a wood axe. You can also decide how much damage your axe takes when you use it. It's default set to 1, so every use takes 1 damage. So we'll keep it at that for now. If we come around here, I am in survival, so I'm going to grab a wood axe and a diamond axe, and we're just going to try. So wood axe, I don't have require diamond axe on. Let's break this. So I'm standing, it falls down, it drops. Didn't take everything though. Now, is that just because it's an acacia tree? What if I pop that? No. It leaves the branches? No, it doesn't. That's very weird. It seems to just take what's upwards. So as we can see, if I break this, is it going to leave those two and those 2 or 3? Let's see. Let's try that again. Break this. Always falls in the other direction. No, that time it took everything. Very weird, but you can see without having the diamond axe setting on, it will always happen. Now I'm standing up. If I crouch, normally Tree Capitator has a setting where if you do one or the other, it will work, and if you do one or the other, it won't. So I'm crouching and I'm going to break it. No, if it's enabled, it's enabled, whether you're standing or not. But it does seem to lose or leave certain blocks behind. Now, if I take the diamond one and we come over to this massive tree here, is it going to be able to take down the whole tree? Obviously, it looks like a tree's already fallen here. Let's break this. Oh, that one fell towards me. Okay. But pretty much most of it went. Let's try one last one over here. I thought it always fell away from you. No, it falls on you. You don't take any damage when it falls, so that's good. And it seems to take more often than not most of the tree. But that's how the tree cutter works. So let me clear up my inventory and we'll have a look at the next one. Okay then, so the next one in the book is actually the elevator blocks. And it says place 2 elevator blocks above each other with at least 2 blocks of space between them. Stand on one and sneak to go down or jump to go up. Crafted using 8 times wool and 1 times ender pearl. Check your nearest crafting table for the exact crafting recipe. Can be dyed using your style of favorite dye color. Now bear that one in mind and remember that for a second. If we go into settings, you can actually set what the max distance is between elevators. So you can limit it into numbers of or multiples of 16. So you can go all the way up to 256 or all the way down to 16. I can't remember what it was on, so I'm just gonna... Did that stay at 128 if I backed out of that? Settings, 128, yes it did. Okay, cool. So let's put that into practice then. I'm gonna grab this, I'm gonna grab this, and then for sake of trying it, let's try this as well. We've got a big island over here, so we can try out a few different things on this, I believe. So let's try what I want to do. I want to put one... Where do I want to put one? I want to put one here. I want to attempt to put one here. Yeah, 2 blocks difference. And then I want to place one down here using different colors. So as you can see, they're not linked by color. Let's see what happens here then. Now I want to test, do we go from this to the black one and then to the light gray one, or do we go straight to the light gray one? Is there multifunctionality here? Let's have a look. I'm in survival. It said stand on it. We get a little light up animation, and then I'm going to press X. That puts us on to the black one, so we should still have the light gray one above us. If I press X again, yes. Okay, so you can go up multiple layers. So then back down again. Drops us down by creeping down to the black one, and then again down to the blue one. So you can go up multi-levels and they don't have to have the same color. Now, do they have to be in a line? I believe it said they do. So let's just move this one out of alignment. Place this here. Press X. There. You cannot go up any further. There are no elevators above you. So they have to be in a direct line. So just bear that one in mind. Now, I said to remember that about the dies. Now, the reason why I said that is because I actually think it's wrong. So if we come over here, I've managed to put the crafting recipes on the wall here. So to craft them, let me go into survival. You need 8 wool of a color and an ender pearl. So I'll show you here. If I grab white wool and ender pearl, we'll go into the crafting table. You see that there, look, 8 white wool, 1 ender pearl. Now, if I have, say, 4 white wool, and then I get 4 red wool, let's see what happens. Here, can I craft one? No. So you have to have the same color wool 8 times to be able to craft one. And then when you've crafted one, now it implies that you can dye it. So I have 2 here and I have 2 yellow dyes. We're going to go into here. There is no option to dye it. Now, can I hit it with that? You can. Okay, so you can't dye it in the crafting table. You can dye it in person. And if you want to craft a specific color, you need that full color wool. So if I go here and I grab the orange one, for instance, I can now craft 1 orange elevator. And if I want to make it yellow, I can dye it in person. Okay, so maybe I misunderstood that slightly. I thought you had to put it into the crafting table. No, you can apply the dye onto the block directly. But to craft the block, you have to have 8 of the same color wool and 1 ender pearl. I apologize that I might have got that slightly wrong and misunderstood. But hopefully that helps you see the functionality of the elevator block and how to craft it. So let me clear my inventory and let's see the third utility. Okay, so the third utility then is the gravestones, and it says that have you just tried to swim in lava? No stress. Your items are stored in your gravestone. Use your gravestone key to guide you to your grave. Enhance your key by throwing it on top of a soul sand block along with 1 rotten flesh, 1 bone and 1 ender pearl, then light them on fire. You can use an enhanced gravestone key to teleport to your grave. And if we go into the settings, you can either enable it or disable it. That's the only thing you can do on that one. So we're going to keep it enabled. I'm going to go here and I'm just going to fill up my inventory with junk for now. And then what we're going to want to do. So I spent ages trying to find out how to craft a gravestone key, right? I was not sure what we had to do or how we had to do it. And then I realized it's not about crafting it. It gives you it when you die. So we're going to go up here. I'm going to set my world back to survival and we're going to fall. And we've died. So as you can see, the gravestone spawns and as you can see, the key has generated in my hand like so. Then if we travel the 1,000,000 blocks over to where we unfortunately passed, we've got this now, and there's a little label on it saying it's my gravestone, and it's been 19 seconds since I died, and that count continues. Now, if I walk on it, it does nothing. If I punch it with the key, it does nothing. If I interact with it with the key, I get my stuff back in my hotbar. Nice and easy. So, let's go back into creative again. Let's go back up top again. And then let's die again. Thank you very much. Nice and easy. So I spawn again with a key. And now if we have a soul sand block, we want to get a rotten flesh, a bone, an ender pearl, and flint and steel. And apparently you want to throw it so it goes on there, on there, on there, and on there without picking them up. And then with the flint and steel, you cook it. And you get yourself an enchanted key with quite a nice little animation there, actually. You get the enhanced gravestone key. That was quite cool. I was a little bit worried it was going to burn. And now I'm assuming, obviously my gravestone is over there. If I interact with this in my hand, so that's a punch. If I interact, teleportation has been cancelled. Oh, do I have to hold it? Hang on, there looked like there was an animation there. Let's go here, like so. I'm going to hold it down. Oh yeah, you hold it down, you get a little countdown. Nice little animation. And boom. I'm now on my block. But it's taken my key. But I can then punch it. Okay. Okay, that was weird. That was very weird. Why did it take my key, but then I was still able to punch it? Let's do one last test then. Survival. Fall to our death. Drop the key. If I could just interact with it without a key, then that's silly, right? So I just want to make sure that it was part of the condition of the teleport. If I interact with it, yeah, no. No, wait. Yeah, I just interact with it. I just hit the... Wait a minute. That's not right. That's not right. So the key actually doesn't matter. Survival. Kaboom. Throw the key away. So now both my keys are there. I don't have any key. Go over here. And then I'm going to interact on the skeleton head. I just get my stuff back anyway. So I don't actually need the key. The key's quite pointless. The enhanced key, okay, gives you the teleport thing, so you get there quicker. But the key's quite pointless. That's weird. Okay, you know the drill. Let me clear out my inventory. We'll check the next one. So the next one coming up then is the item magnet. So the item magnet, when used, the item magnet attracts faraway items to you. Crafted using 5 times iron ingot, 2 times redstone dust, and 1 ender pearl. Check your nearest crafting table for the exact crafting recipe. And if you go into the settings, you can change the distance of the magnet in quantities of 1, starting at 6, all the way up to 32 blocks distance. And then if I back out of that without submitting, does it go back to what it was? Yes, it does. 16. Okay, so for the item magnet then, let's get over here. To craft it, you need 2 redstone dust, like it said, 5 iron ingots, and 1 ender pearl. So if I go into here, we'll grab those like so, and we will go into survival, and we're just going to check it here. So yeah, that's how you craft it. Boom. Nice and easy. Now, I'm going to throw down my book over here. How many blocks away is that? So that's about what? 81, 82. We want to be 16 blocks-ish. There, that'll do. I'm holding it. I'm going to interact. Okay, interact. And it pulls it in. Quite simple, quite easy. Not really sure how I would stress test that, to be honest with you, but that's the item magnet. Fair enough. And then I suppose we can just jump into the next one then, which is the beacon auto build. Excuse me. It says beacon auto build. Instead of building every beacon's pyramid by hand, use an iron, gold, netherite, diamond, or emerald block on the beacon itself to add it to the pyramid. Sneak while using the block to build a whole level. Sneak when breaking the block, or when breaking the beacon, sorry, to destroy the pyramid along with it. And then we've got the settings, and you can either enable or disable that. So I'm going to hit submit. Let me just double check that I've read that all completely. Sneak while using the block to build a whole level. Yes, okay, so I believe I've got a chest over here. I do, and it's got my beacon and all of my hard-earned diamonds. Now, what I'm going to do here is something that I think you have to do, but it doesn't quite tell you. So I'm going to actually start up in the sky for this. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit weird to show it off. So I'm going to start up here. I'm going to place my beacon. I obviously worked very hard for that. Then going to break my sand. Now, the reason why I've done that and put the beacon up high is because it builds the blocks directly underneath the beacon. It doesn't seem to push the beacon up. But I've got my blocks of diamond. I'm underneath and I'm interacting. And as you can see, it's placed it over there. It says beacon level 0. Next level, 7 more blocks remaining. And as you place it, obviously you need to have visibility of the beacon block. So I probably should have stood on top. But place that one down and then over here. Come on, let me do it. There we go. And it's placed one whole one there. So if I go into creative and then I'm at the top. Whoops, I missed. Go into creative at the top. I've now got 1 level beacon. So if I'm crouching and I interact, it auto builds the next layer. If I'm standing, it just places 1 block on the next layer, always over here. But as you can see, it always builds below the beacon. So if I had put this on the ground, like so, and tried it, it replaces the blocks underneath. And there's one layer. And as you can see, it's placed it underground. So just bear that in mind when you're using it. But it's an auto build of a beacon. I've never used a beacon in survival. I'm that kind of player, so it's not really something for me. But let me know, is that something that interests you? I'm going to clear out my inventory, and we've got a couple more utilities left. So for the penultimate feature or utility in this book, then we have the easy harvest. And it says farming just became way easier. Plants replant themselves automatically. Just destroy them or interact with them. Place any type of seed right next to your hoe in the hotbar and it will be planted when tilling. And then if we go into settings, it's just enable or disable, no extra settings here. So if I come over here, I've already placed down all of my crops. I'm going to go in here. Now I've got a wooden hoe and I've got a diamond hoe. I'm going to put the diamond hoe in my inventory first of all. And then I've got 64 seeds. Now it says to put it next to it. So now if I break it? Okay, it doesn't do it there. Oh, but if I interact with the hoe, it places it straight away. Look at that. So I'm pressing L2 while holding the hoe. Although I'm pressing L2 while not holding the hoe, and it does it as well. That's really weird. It's very weird how that functionality is working. So what happens then if I put the seeds over here? Get rid of those, because it said put it next to your hoe, right? So I don't have it next to the hoe, and it still works. So half of the functionality isn't as it describes. It still works, just not as described, which is weird. And then if I throw that out and I go and get the diamond one, how does it work with the diamond one then? So I'm going to do it again. I'm not holding the hoe. It shouldn't be working. The seed isn't next to the hoe. I'm not holding the hoe. I'm just pressing L2 with my fist. But it is planting it down and it is working. So a question then becomes, if the overall thing is working, does it matter if it's not working 100% as intended? For me, yes, it does, because that's how it's supposed to be described. But at least it's broken in this way and not in a way that it doesn't work at all, I suppose. Is probably the best way to put that. And then lastly then, for the last feature or utility, we have a dynamic light. It says mining the dark caves. Consider holding a torch or lantern. Automatically light the environment around you when holding a light source. And in settings, we can either enable or disable them. So I have a torch on me. We're going to go into spectator mode. We're going to find ourselves a nice big cave, nice and dark. Let's get down here like so. That is a water one. Of course it is. Down here, it should be fine. Yeah, thank you very much. Go back into creative for this. I'm going to hold my torch and it lights it up while I'm holding it. And that's dynamic light. In almost all its glory, that's dynamic light. As you hold a light source, it gives you that light up effect. So what happens if we get a lantern, which should be somewhere down here? There we go. We've got a soul lantern. We've got an actual lantern, a lava bucket, a sea lantern. Why not as well? I suppose the other one then would be glowstone maybe. I always have problems with the UI. Thank you. Glowstone. That's another light source block that we could try. Glowberries maybe. Let's cycle through. So soul lantern isn't lighting anything up. A normal lantern is lighting things up. So we know a torch and a normal lantern work. A lava bucket, not lighting things up. Glowberries, not lighting things up. Sea lantern, not lighting things up. Glowstone, not lighting things up. And a torch does. So it's dynamic light in its most basic possible way. And I mean that because you cannot put the torch in your offhand at all. So it's not even full dynamic light. You'd have to be holding it as your main torch, which means when you're attacked by a creeper, you're gonna die. I don't know how I feel about it. Well, I do know how I feel about this add-on. I'm just being a bit nice. It's overpriced. That's how I'm feeling about this add-on. I think what it does is fine. There are elements that don't work how they're supposed to, but they do work, which is probably the best way for it to go. But it's way too expensive. And anybody who knows my channel knows that we have a lot of fans of Essentials add-on on this channel, which is very cheap and has a ton more utilities and functions than this. I think it's in a bad market at a bad price. That's going to be my honest assessment, but at least it works. You got to hold on to that sliver. Let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments. If you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button as well. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, everybody. Peace.